This is where we built into the idea that you can customize it to yourself. So there's things that maybe you've gotten some feedback. Maybe you actually had one of these companies that gave you some feedback. Great, take that. Maybe you're working with a friend or a partner or a mock group that you're working with, and they've given you some feedback of, oh, you kind of struggle on this, or I'd love to see more of that. Great. You can add it to this process that we're going to get to in just a minute so you can actually build this. And you can add this. When you start, you don't have to. Like the prompt is built that if there is no focus list, it will propose something for you based on the transcript that you give it. But over time, you can carry these through and keep kind of working on these. So that's really what it is from the list. And then the last piece is the bucket. This is the summary of this. So the way that I've built this out is it's going to try to summarize these together, but it does walk you all 5 passes one at a time. So like um, you don't have to keep re-entering a prompt. You just tell it to do one thing after the other, but it's a fair amount of information. So it doesn't just give you a massive wall of text of all 5 passes. It does one pass at a time, and then you just tell it to do next and next and next. But at the end, it's going to kind of summarize it, and then it's also going to put it into a JSON file that you can store in your project. And then eventually you could have it chart out if you've done multiple kind of interviews and processed those. So that's sort of the idea here. And by the way, the guide has all of the details. So we're about to get into, but I just want you to know, like, it kind of walks you through how to do all of this. So if you missed anything or you wanted any questions on how to do it, it's in there as well. But let's build this, right? Like that's where we want to get to, is to actually practice some of this. So the idea here is obviously you're going to do reps, whether it's with mocks or real interviews or with friends or whatever it might be. But the debrief is where you get an opportunity to do some of that practice, that intentional practice. But I do want to be one caveat here in terms of like, how do you actually get the transcript? So first off, I cannot know where all of you are coming from and where all of the local rules and laws are. And I'm not a lawyer, so I'm not giving any legal advice. So the things that you need to figure out is what you can do and what you're comfortable with. Some people are comfortable saying, hey, I'd like to record this, or I'm going to put my Firefly in here, or I'm going to use Granola. And they announce that. And then the interviewer would have to say, no, I'm not okay with that. That's totally fine. You're completely transparent. You're making it clear on both sides. You're getting consent for those things. Some people might be in one party consent rules, and they have rules that say, hey, as long as I'm okay with it, I can do it. There's a lot of ways to solve this. Mocks, these are practices. You should get recordings of all of those. You should absolutely, everyone who does a mock with you should allow you to have a transcription. So don't worry about that. Do those. If you're practicing on your own, record yourself and get the transcript. That's super helpful as well. If you're using AI, the one that we did a few weeks ago, pull all of those in. A couple of the tools, if you're wanting to explore them, Granola is it's a tool. I think it has a free tier for a while. I don't know how long that lasts, but Granola will run without being in the call, and it will transcribe your voice, but also the voice of something other. It doesn't record the audio, but it does transcribe it and then provide a full text, raw text version of a transcript of everybody that's coming through your computer's sound system. Whisperflow can do something similar. Zoom has a note-taking feature that I think it will do a transcript even if you're not the owner of the meeting. That part you'd have to check on. There are a couple of other tools as well that you can check out. Like Otter.ai has some things that will join meetings. Fathom, Firefly. There's a bunch of these that'll join meetings for you, and then by the person who's running the meeting leaving it in, they're kind of giving permission for it to transcribe. So you could do that in some of your interviews as well. The other side is that you could choose to capture just your side. So you could have your phone next to you. You can record yourself. And if you're having headphones, they're not going to hear the interviewer. So later you'd need to add in, what were the questions that were asked? What were the statements that they said? You're going to miss out on some of the feedback that the interviewer is providing, but it would still get your answers. So you could kind of focus on your work. And there's value in that. So don't ignore that part of it. And then the way we're going to set this up is you're going to be able to use Claude or ChatGPT or Gemini to do something similar. I'd suggest that you create it as a project, but regardless of what tier you're on, you can still make some progress with it. I will say that some of this is The transcripts can be text heavy. So if you're on a free plan, you might want to be careful on when you use this in terms of what else you have to do, because it might use a fair amount of your usage because transcripts can be kind of long. So just be mindful of that. But overall, should be okay. Um, okay.